Welcome to the Garage Engineer. Today, Wuben Flashlights had sent this flashlight, the X4, for me to take a look at. And this is not going to be a full review. I will tell you about the features that I like about this. I haven't checked it on durability. But what this video is an inspiration of something I've been wanting to do, is make a hybrid holster. Now I love full leather holsters, but I wanted to try something out, and I wanted to mix 3D printing with a leather sheath. So that is what the whole inspiration of this flashlight is for this video. And here I'm just kind of showing some of the features. It's got a main spotlight, it's got a lantern mode, and some LEDs. So let's get this project started by pulling out my favorite pencil, my Pentel Graph Gear 500, and right here I am measuring the flashlight so we can create a hold down for the wet mold that we're going to do for the leather. Although I did add for the thickness of the leather in figuring out the cutout for the mold, I later decided that was a little too much, and I recut the mold to make it just a little bit smaller. So taking the MDF to the bandsaw, I cut out the area that I need. And then I want to sand all the edges so that it doesn't cut into the leather, kind of rounding it over a little bit. Now, this flashlight is IP68 water and dirt resistant. I still always wrap and saran wrap my knives and my the flashlight when I'm creating wet molds. That's just something, I don't know, I'm just paranoid about. But here I'm stapling the leather down just so it doesn't move. Make sure you're far enough away so it's not in the area where you're going to be putting stitches later. So you can see where I recut the mold, screwed it down and let it dry overnight. Now we're taking the mold off and pulling the molded leather off. Now here I'm just cutting a little bit of the excess of the leather, and I did cut earlier the corners just so that there wouldn't be as much of a binding of the material. Now I'm adding contact cement to both sides, partly on the 3D printed holster side and then on the leather side. So we'll give it some time to air dry separately and then to tack up, and then we connect them together. I love using binding clips to hold the two pieces together when you're doing leather projects, or you can even use a small like hair clips too. That will work. Now I'm just getting out my cutting mat. It's been a couple hours, so now we're removing all the clips and everything's connected. I'm using my bone file here just to make the edge a little bit more defined. Now I'm using my 4mm punch to punch the holes. Now the tricky part of here is you've got to line up the holes that were pre-made in the 3D printed holster and lining up with the leather. So that was kind of a little bit different doing it this method. And now I'm just cutting back some of the waste. I didn't cut it all the way to the edge yet. I'll do that later, but I did want to cut some of it off so it's out of the way. And here I cut just the corner. It was just irritating me, so I took it off. So now the fun begins. Now we need to see if the sizes I made for in the 3D printing are large enough to accommodate the needles. And it worked overall pretty good, but some parts got tight and I had to use pliers to pull the needle through, so I might make that adjustment later. All this is prototyping, so I've learned a lot by making this one holster. I like to use tiger thread from Weaver Leather. This is actually 0.8, but I really prefer 0.6mm thread. It's just a little bit easier for using with your 4mm holes. Now we're getting down to the corner here, and I had a little bit of issue with the leather, and we got to address the ice pick out to widen that hole. It makes a great awl, and I was able to turn that corner. So now we're just working our way down the line. This is the bottom side as we are stitching, and I'm showing right here there's a crack. So I just used PLA for this as a test, and it cracked on the seam. So I would not normally use PLA if I was going to make this a more long-term sturdy project. I would use something. I could use nylon or maybe even PETG would be stronger. But this was just practice, so I used I used PLA to get the holster made. So we're getting toward the end, and we're just sewing it back through to get the edges to tighten the end down. And then I'm just showing you the back side of it and cutting off the excess, and there you go. So now everything's tied. Wanted to cut the leather to be even with the edge of the 3D part of the holster. And I think my blade was dull this whole video, so I probably should have got a fresher blade. But here you go. Here's the final product. It fits really well. Now a lot of people say, why should I be making a holster when that has a pocket clip? Well, that pocket clip sits higher up, and then when I bend over, my side cuts into the flashlight. So that's why I like to use holsters, because I can set how low the flashlight or knife sits. Now I was just kind of demonstrating the different modes of the flashlight. So now it brings us back to our inspiration of this video, the Wuben flashlight. They're actually having a Black Friday sale today, and if you will go into the video description below, you can click on the link and it'll take you to their website. And you can see on the screen they've got a lot of different sales. This flashlight was actually 30% off, and it's a great deal. They also just going through here, showing the different sides of the flashlight. It does have 4 modes, and lantern mode and a spotlight mode, and I'll show you a little bit more in detail further on. But they also have a new product, which is more what they call their EDCs, the G5, and it has a little less features than the X4 of what I showed today, but it has a swivel light on it, and it's a lot smaller, so it has different features, which would be depending on how you use it. So go check the website out and get your Black Friday sale. Now here I'm showing back the imperfections. Here's the crack where it split on the lines, and when I was using the pricking irons I kind of missed the holes and punched the 3D print holster, so that was an error. And here I think the corners could have been cut a little bit better, but now I have a pattern so I can make my adjustments, and we'll fix that in the future versions. So here is the beauty shots of it finally set up. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I think I'll definitely be pursuing this and doing some more like it. So if you have any ideas on how to improve the hybrid holster, put them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to see more videos like the one that you just saw, you can check here and here. And remember the ABCs of making. Always be creating. Till next time.